Hello and welcome back. So in the last lecture, we completed the sign up functionality. So now we are able to create new users and save them in the database. And for that, we have created a sign up route handler function. So this is our sign up route handler function. And from within this function, all we are doing is we are creating a new user using the data which we have received with the request body, and we are saving that user in the database. And if the user is successfully saved, we are sending a response to the client, and with that response we are sending the details of the newly created user, and that's all. But here what I also want is, once a user is successfully signed up, I want to automatically log in that user to our application. So instead of user having to go to login page and then make a login request to get authenticated, if the user is creating a new account, and if that account is created successfully, that means if the user is signed up successfully, we automatically want to log in that user. And to do that, first we need to understand how the authentication works, and that's what we are going to learn in this lecture. So here we have a client who is going to make a login request, an authentication request, and here we have the server where our Express application is running, and then we also have the database. Okay, so generally what happens is, in order to authenticate a user, we make a login request. But in our case, what we want is, once a user is successfully signed up, we want to authenticate that user automatically. So the user does not need to go to the login page and then authenticate himself. But here I want to explain how the authentication works. So that's why I'm taking an example of login process. So while logging into an application, the user has to provide his username or email and the password and make a login request. So a login request is basically a post request, and with that post request, we need to send the user's unique username and password. In our example, we are going to use the email as the username. And once this request is received on the server, the Express application is going to check two things. First, it is going to check if with the provided email a user exists in the user collection or not, and if the user exists, the provided password matches with that user or not. If the user exists and if the password is correct, a unique access token, which is also called as JSON Web Token, is generated using a secret key stored on the server. This secret key is defined for an application by the developer, and this secret key is stored on the server where the application is running. Now, this secret key plays a big role while generating the access token. So just remember that this secret key is present on the server. And this access token which has been generated here, we also call it as JSON Web Token. This is the token which we need to send to the client, and this is the token which will act as an identity card for the user. And a JSON Web Token looks something like this. And we will talk about JSON Web Token in detail in a bit. But remember that if a user is successfully logged in, on the server, a JSON Web Token gets created with the help of the secret key, which is also stored on the server. And this JSON Web Token is what is sent to the client in the response. On the client has to store this JSON Web Token somewhere, either in the cookies or local storage. And as I mentioned, this token, it will act as an identity proof of the user. And now, whenever the user tries to access a protected route with the request, this token will also be sent in the request header to validate the user. And if the user is an authenticated user, he will get access to the protected route, otherwise his access will be denied. So remember that after login, now whenever this client is going to make a request to the Express application on the server, with that request, this client also needs to send that access token with the request header. And this access token, this JSON Web Token, it will be used for identifying and validating the user. And this is how a user is authenticated and logged into the application without storing any state on the server. So we can say that a user is logged in as soon as he gets a valid JSON Web Token from the server. And this process is completely stateless because server sends the access token to the client, but it does not store it on the server. But the client has to save that access token somewhere, because now when the client is going to make the next requests, it needs to send that token with that request in the request header. So this is how the authentication works. Once a user is successfully authenticated, the server is going to send an access token to the client, and that access token will be used for identifying the user from the next request. Now let's see how the authorization works. So the same access token is going to be used for authorizing the user. So again, let's say we have the client and the client is trying to access a protected resource. And let's say the client is already logged in. So the client has a valid JSON Web Token which it has received from the server after a successful login. And with this request, that JSON Web Token, that access token will also be attached with the request header. So this access token, it acts like an identity proof to the server to get access to the protected resources. So here, this access token, it acts like an identity proof to get access to the protected resources. Now, once the request is received on the server by the Web API application, it verifies if the JWT is valid or not. And we will learn how this verification works. Now, if the token is valid, then the requested data will be sent back to the client. That means the client will get access to the protected route. But if the token is not valid, then the user will get access denied response. And also, as long as the user is logged in, this is how the request response will work for each time the client makes a request to the protected route. Okay, so basically, with each request which the client is going to make to access a protected route, it needs to send the access token with that request. And on the server, that access token will be validated. If that access token is valid, the client will get access to the protected route. But if that access token is not valid, the client will not get access to the protected route. The access will be denied. And this is how the authorization works with access token. So remember, when the authentication is successful, the server is going to send an access token to the client, and that access token will later then be used for authorizing the user to the protected routes. So here, in authentication and authorization, the access token plays a vital role. So now let's learn how this access token is created. So an access token looks something like this. We also call it as JSON Web Token. So going forward, I'm going to call it as JSON Web Token because here the access token which we are going to create, we are going to create it using JSON Web Token. Okay, so a JSON Web Token looks something like this. It has three important parts. It has a header, a payload, and a signature. And these three combined together creates a JSON Web Token. So the purple part in this string is the header, the green part is the payload, and this red part is the signature. And in the JSON Web Token string, all these parts are basically first converted to base 64 string. So you can see this object is converted to its base 64 string, and that is used as header. This object is converted to its base 64 string, and that is the payload of the JSON Web Token string. And then the signature is also converted to its base 64 string, and that is being used in this JSON Web Token. So this is the encoded string, and when we decode it, it looks something like this. It has three parts: header, payload, and signature. The header is just the metadata about the token which we are creating. So basically it contains information like what algorithm we are using in order to generate that JSON Web Token and what is the type. Here the type is JWT. Okay, then the payload is the second part of the JWT string, and it contains the data that we want to encode into the token. And this can be any data we want. So here you see in this data, we have the username, the role of the user, and we also have something called as sub, which is basically the ID, and IAT, which stands for issued at what time this JSON Web Token was issued. So that timestamp is stored here. Now in this payload, you can have as much information as you want. So the more data you encode in the payload, the bigger the JWT will be, and also it will be more secure. But you also need to understand here that whatever we encode in this payload, whatever we specify in this payload, that can be decoded. So you need to make sure that you do not use any sensitive data in the payload, like the password. Because as I mentioned, this encoded JSON Web Token can be decoded. And when you will decode it, you can see the payload which has been used for creating that JSON Web Token. And if you have any sensitive information in that payload, that will be visible. So the header and the payload, these are the two parts that are just plain text that will be encoded but not encrypted. So anyone will be able to decode them and read them. And that's why we should not store any sensitive information in the payload. But that is not a problem at all, because the third part is the signature. The signature is what makes JWT more secure. The signature consists of header, payload encoded in base 64 string, and a secret key which is stored on the server. The same secret key which we talked about in our previous slide. So remember that the signature consists of base 64 encoded header plus a dot and then base 64 encoded payload and the secret key which is stored on the server. And this process is called as signing the JSON Web Token. We will learn about this signing process next, but remember that a JWT consists of a header, a payload and a signature. And signature in turn consists of header, payload and a secret string stored on the server. Now let's learn how the JWT signing process happens. So as we learned, in order to create a JSON Web Token, we need to specify a header, a payload and a shared secret, a secret key which is stored on the server. Okay, so using the header, payload and the secret key, it creates a signature. And now this signature again combined with header and payload, it creates a JSON Web Token. And that JSON Web Token looks something like this. Okay, so it is important to note here that the signature is created using the header, payload and secret key, and then signature along with header encoded in base 64 string plus payload encoded in base 64 string creates a JSON Web Token. Okay, and the JSON Web Token looks something like this. So remember that JWT consists of header, signature and payload, and not header, secret key and payload. It consists of header, signature and payload, and the signature is created using header, payload and the secret key which is stored on the server. And this is the access token which is sent back to the client. So on the server, this access token, this JWT is generated. We know how it is generated. So on the server, in order to generate the JWT, we specify the payload. We will have a shared secret, a secret key on the server, and we will also specify the header. The header will contain metadata like what type of token we want to create and which algorithm we want to use. Okay, so using these information on the server, a JWT will be created once a user is successfully logged in. And this is the JWT which will be sent back to the client after a successful login. Now, after that, whenever the user is going to make a request to access a protected route, that JWT will be verified first. And now let's learn how that JWT will be verified. So, as I mentioned, now whenever the client will try to access a protected route, the client has to send the access token along with the request. And the access token, in our example, it is going to be a JSON Web Token. It consists of header, payload, and signature. Okay. And on the server, we already have a secret key stored. Now, once we have received a request from the client along with the token, what our Express application is going to do is from that token, it is going to extract the header and payload. And in the last slide, we learned that header, payload, and secret key together, they create a signature. So we already have a secret key on the server. The header and the payload will be extracted from the access token. And on the server, in our Express application, these three information will be again combined together to create a test signature. And if this test signature, if it matches this signature which we have in the token, in that case, the token is validated. But if the test signature, if it does not match this signature which we have in the token, that means the token is not valid. In that case, the user will not get access to the protected route. So this process is very straightforward. And as I mentioned, this secret key plays a very important role in creating a JSON Web Token and verifying the JSON Web Token. And this secret key is defined for an application on the server. So even if a hacker gets access to the JSON Web Token, he will not be able to manipulate it and create a valid token out of it, because a valid JSON Web Token cannot be created without the secret key. Alright, so I hope from this lecture you have got a high level overview of how authentication and authorization works, and what is JSON Web Token, how it is created, and how it is verified on the server. And this knowledge is required to understand the concepts which we are going to learn in our coming lectures. So if you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.